This is Corkscrew Convos, another theme park podcast. My name is Chris.
And my name is DJ.
And we're here today to talk about theme parks, roller coasters, barbecue, the theater, defunct coasters, and everything else under the sun in its time. But first, let's get this disclaimer out of the way.
The views, opinions, and information expressed during the following presentation are solely those of the individuals involved and do not represent organizations affiliated with those individuals.
DJ, you weren't in our last episode, were you?
I was not. Life got busy, and life happens, but I think there was just a lot going on. I wasn't in there, but I hear you had a great time by yourself.
Oh, I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I mean, it was just me from 2021 talking to me from 2018. And it might sound confusing, dear listener, but if you are intrigued, go ahead and listen to that previous episode on our feed where I talk about the 2018 TEA Summit while I was there. I was at the Disneyland Hotel in Anaheim, California. It was a ton of fun. But we also had another previous episode that I think is worth mentioning too, in which we planned the future of Six Flags America. We brought back that segment where we plan the park. We do that little plan a park segment. We spent more than 2 hours, DJ, talking. Wait. DJ. Who is that third person in our Zoom call?
I don't know. It sounds like it's coming out of nowhere. It's hello?
I'm so sorry. I didn't know you guys could see me. I was just spying on you guys to see if you had any more insider information about like parks buying other parks. This is CoasterBro from Coaster Cuzzies.
CoasterBro?
Yeah. Is it okay if I just like stay?
I mean, you're already here. DJ, what do you say?
I mean, if you got in, you got in. It's either some serious hacking skills or you just answered our invite. I'm going to go with the former. On this one.
Yes,
okay.
I did just click on that link for sure.
All right. Well, you're here. I guess you're here to stay for the episode. Let's get into it. You said Coaster Cuzzies. First question I have for you. What is a Cuzzy? What is that?
Yeah, I don't really know. It's a fake word, I can tell you that. But a Cuzzy is like, it's basically our listeners. It's our listeners, it's our host. It's basically anybody that's just a part of the Cuzzy community. And to give you some background on that, actually, I'm a huge Pat McAfee fan. I don't know if you two know who Pat McAfee is. He's like, he used to be a Colts punter.
Okay. Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah.
He does like sports talk stuff now, but he always calls everybody Cuzzies, and then I just kind of started doing the same, and before long, we had a podcast called Coaster Cuzzies.
Now, is that because
a
you're a
bit of
Colts
nod.
fan, or you
I
like
am
McAfee?
a Pat McAfee exclusive fan of that guy.
Okay. All right.
I just loved how he always would celebrate after huge punts, and I also used to play college football and was a special teamer. So
I did neither of those things.
Yes, I just loved kickers for whatever it's worth.
That's awesome.
That's basically the backstory of what a Cuzzy is.
Okay, so you're not cousins. That's not a thing?
No, we're not cousins. No, we're just Cuzzies, man. That's my Cuzzy.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's not a drink koozie?
No.
It's not
a
that.
koozie.
No, it's not koozie
Okay.
because that's how I originally, for the first 10 seconds, thought it was pronounced, and then I realized that's just not how you spell koozie. Like, that's just not how the English language works. So it had to be Cuzzy.
Yeah, it
Okay.
had to be. The double O would be koozie.
So Coaster Cuzzies. Okay.
Yes.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your show and everything else that you do?
Yeah, so we just celebrated our first anniversary of our podcast, and we've been around for about a year and a half, kind of active on social media. You can actually find us on at Coaster Cuzzies. The good news about being a Cuzzy is nobody else is Cuzzies, so it's very easy to find us. But at Coaster Cuzzies on Instagram, we post things on there. We have a lot of different challenges that we do. And I also do a show every Saturday morning called Coffee with CoasterBro, where I just drink coffee, we go over the news from the week, and we just kind of shoot the breeze with our listeners and have a conversation. So you can find us there on TikTok, but we just love roller coasters. It's me and my best friend. Theme Park Stud is his name. It's his birth name.
Hey,
for sure.
That's awesome.
And
Not sure how he
yeah,
managed that,
name.
but that's cool.
It's really nice and that he has a podcast then.
Yes, they did.
Predestined. I like that. Well, you mentioned coffee with CoasterBro. I'll admit, personally, I've been a part of some of these coffees with CoasterBro. It's a good time. I mean, sometimes on a Saturday, I don't set an alarm because I get to sleep in, but
Yes.
that means that I get notifications just whenever in the morning. And when people go live on Instagram, sometimes it pushes a notification to your phone, and usually that wakes me up. So that's how I usually become a part of coffee with CoasterBro. But it's a good time.
I had no idea I was waking people up for this.
Yeah, CoasterBro is officially part of Chris's life. Be part of your morning routine.
Yeah.
That's really special. That's really cool.
Wow. It's more than I ever dreamed of.
It's a good time, and I just noticed something. Hear me out. Coaster Cuzzies, Corkscrew Convos. These are both shows that can be abbreviated CC. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's something to celebrate.
That is something to celebrate. And we all have ties to Missouri. This is this is a good thing we have. This is a good energy.
I do like this. I think we really need to capitalize on the Quad C here. I don't know how we're going to do that. I think maybe some merch is in order years down the road. We just need to trademark the Quad C quickly. Jump on that.
Yeah. Instead of T4, it's C4. I like it.
I can already see the logo.
T4.
For those
Yikes.
following along at home that don't know what T4 is, it's a recurring bit that the Kentucky Kingdom Twitter account, of which we are well
I don't even think you
acquainted
need to
with,
go into that.
uses.
If you don't know T4, you need to stop listening, dear listener. Jump on the T4 bandwagon, then come back. There's a fandom.
DJ, we're not in a position to turn listeners away. Please.
All right.
Don't tell them to stop
That's
listening. Okay. All right. Well, you mentioned that we've all had some sort of tie to Missouri, or as some people call it, Missouri. But there was a show on NBC called Saturday Night Live that usually, interestingly, premieres on Saturday night, and it's live. And most recently, they had a sketch that included Worlds of Fun. Isn't that right?
That's right. It is called Amusement Park. So they tried to keep it pretty broad. And when I saw this on Facebook, I think, it was Sunday morning, must have been like 9 or 8 in the morning, and someone's like, oh, this is really funny, and just called Amusement Park. And being the co-host of a theme park podcast, I'm like, well, I have to watch this. Like, SNL never does theme parks. Not very often, right? And so I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait, they said Worlds of Fun. That's weird. And then in the background, I think actually before they said Worlds of Fun, it said Viking Voyager. That's what was in the background, and I'm like, that's really a coincidence. And then they said Worlds of Fun. I'm like, there's no way. And then there's a sign that has literally the rider responsibilities from Worlds of Fun, like on the side of the wall. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And like, it's kind of a Kansas City thing, but like, we were just talking about this earlier. If Kansas City is mentioned, like if you're from Kansas City or you used to live there, you always have to say like, oh yeah, I'm from Kansas City, make a big deal out of it. And so Viking Voyager is mentioned, Zulu, which is like their Huss, I can't think of what it's called. It's a Huss ride. It's
Enterprise.
They mentioned that, and then Mamba, their hyper coaster. It was just so funny. And then I went and did a little more research, and I guess one of the people in that skit, they are actually from Kansas City, and they wrote the skit, and so it was hilarious. But there's a Soul reference. If you've seen that from Pixar, that's a big part of it. But it basically visualizes and makes a joke out of the awkward double date that you take when you're younger. Like, I can definitely relate to that, having the odd person out, like, oh, well, I'm gonna ride with her and he's gonna ride with her, so I guess you're stuck with the inflatable plushie, which was interesting. They never made a big deal about a loose article or anything, so that's how you knew, okay, all right, this isn't quite real. But it was pretty funny. Like, I'd give it like 5 or 6 out of 10 for SNL. Like, it worked. It was more of what might have scored it higher was the fact that it was literally Worlds of Fun. Like, they weren't shy about it at all. I thought that was hilarious. And it's usually like Disney getting the attention, right? But now Worlds of Fun gets the attention, so that's cool.
And even the opening shot of the scene was just the Worlds of Fun skyline with the Worlds of Fun balloon. Like, they didn't shy away from it. It was like, this is where we are. And like you said, the set was like perfect. They mimicked the signs. Even the boat was pretty close. Like, they didn't have the head of the Viking Voyager on there, but they had the stem there and the tail. And there's a few things that were off. 2 people to a boat. It's obviously 4, but obviously, but it was pretty believable, and I was impressed by it.
Yeah, even the stanchions.
A lot of people thought it was
real.
A little corny. Yeah, they were.
I'm almost positive the rider responsibility sign was a legit sign. Like, I am 100% convinced. You got to watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I haven't watched it yet, but I don't know. It might hit a little too close for home, like 5th wheeling, 7th wheeling. That's something I've done before, and it's not something I'm proud of.
I've been there too. It's fine.
I think all coaster enthusiasts have been through that at some point.
Yeah.
Usually, like, I've noticed a rotation basis. Like, okay, if you're with 5 people, well, this dude rode alone last time, so like, but it just made it even more awkward. Like, oh, you better ride with the guy from Soul. Like, they don't even say the character's name, Joe Gardner. I don't know if that's just because of how obscure the movie is. I love that movie, but I think it's so funny too. I totally forgot about the photo at the beginning. It's literally some person's iPhone. It's not even a stylized photo or anything. It's like, here's a parking lot, dinosaurs alive, skyline. Like, that's Worlds of Fun.
I think my personal favorite moment from that sketch was when the teenagers were like trying to convince that he has to ride with the guy from Soul this time, but they were just ignoring the fact that he also rode with the guy from Soul on Zulu, and it's just fantastic. It's my favorite moment.
It's so good.
It sounds funny. I'm definitely going to have to watch it now.
Yeah, you have to. Amusement Park SNL. That's the title. Very obscure, but yeah, it's totally Worlds of Fun through and through.
Okay. Well, speaking of amusement parks, usually they have roller coasters, and dear listener, you know that we do this sort of thing where we choose a coaster that corresponds with the number episode that we have, and this is episode 21 of Corkscrew Convos, so we picked a coaster that first opened in 1921, and that coaster is Roller Coaster at Lagoon in Farmington, Utah.
Yeah, and that was not a mistake by Chris. This is one of those roller coasters that's literally just called Roller Coaster. I have not had the chance to ride it. Chris, I know you have it. CoasterBro, have you been on roller coaster? Have you been to Lagoon before?
I went to Lagoon in 2019, so yeah, I've actually rode it fairly recently.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Right.
How did it run?
I thought it ran pretty well with the Millennium Flyer trains. I was with a group of 3 people, and the other 2 thought it was very rough and not very enjoyable, but I actually thought it was a really good ride, and that the new Millennium Flyer trains kind of brought some life into it, and it was running pretty good. And the station was weirdly what I remember most from it, because it was so beautiful in there.
It's like just classic, recently, isn't it? Like classic looking, nostalgic.
Yeah, and they had just redone it too, to kind of just, the colors really pop, and it's just I would say, for me, it's more of a beautiful ride than it is a ride that I want to re-ride, but
Okay.
It's still pretty
good. Well, it's a pretty old coaster. You know, it's just about it's about to be 100 years old, so that's pretty special. Designed by John A. Miller. He was pretty prolific during these years. It was a double out and back style coaster, damaged in 1953 in a fire, but it did survive and it was rebuilt. And as CoasterBro mentioned, it currently runs Millennium Flyer trains, which is the proprietary rolling stock from Great Coasters International. But previously, before 2018, they ran PTC trains from the Philadelphia Toboggan Company. It's 62 feet tall, 2,500 feet long, and has a top speed of 45 miles per hour.
Yeah, very old coaster. I'm always impressed, like especially when one's nearly almost 100 years old and you're seeing speeds like 45 miles an hour. That just seems so fast for me to be that long ago, and to know that people are just drawing these things and like, all right, it looks good. Obviously it's safe, but it's always crazy to see something, 30 miles an hour is like my limit on these older rides. But back to what you're saying, CoasterBro, like I would, if I got off a 100-year-old roller coaster, I don't even think I could say it's rough. It's like, this is a 100-year-old roller coaster. Like, just the fact that I got to ride it is pretty cool. So whatever. And yeah, I'm sure it does look beautiful. I feel like I've seen pictures of it, but it's just one of those rides where you're like, why is this in Utah of all places? And it's 100 years old, and it's just, I think there's like a mountain behind it, right? It looks pretty cool with everything around it. You
get really good photos of roller coaster with just the mountain behind it, and it's got the classic sign. It just says roller coaster on that first drop on the top, and it's just, or it says Lagoon. I'm not sure which one it says, but
that's awesome.
It's very pretty.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is a park pretty close to Salt Lake City, I'm pretty sure. And
yep, that's their
I mean,
park.
they have this incredibly historic roller coaster. I know they have at least one dark ride. It might be two. I don't know exactly. But then they have Cannibal, and they're about to have the roller coaster previously almost named Primordial. We don't know its current name, but they really have quite a collection, including Wicked. I mean, every couple of seconds I think, oh, they have this coaster. They also have that. Oh, and they also have that. So it seems like a great park. I definitely hope to visit it sometime.
It's definitely very unique. They actually do have two dark rides there. One is called Terror something. That's like the better one, and then they have one up towards the front of the park. But they're both just classic, great dark rides. And then the coaster collection is pretty stellar, with the classic feel that you kind of look for in an old school amusement park, with the sky ride that goes over the park. You get great views of the park from that, and it's just a beautiful park. I love that place so much.
Yeah, when you say classic dark rides, I think of things like Kennywood, Knoebel, so I'm assuming it's like sort of a dark ride like that, like really homemade. Maybe even has a little bit of a smell to it. That's not a bad thing, but just a scent that you recognize. It's been there for a while. And I'm sure it's hard to know because we're not from there, right? But I'm sure there's plenty of families that have a history of it. Like, there's probably grandparents taking their grandkids on this. Like, I remember this dark ride way back when, or even roller coaster. Like, oh, this was my first roller coaster. So that's really cool to have a park can be around for so long and have such a history. I think that's what I think is so special about it. But yeah, that's awesome. I definitely need to go there. My wife, she works at a job that's headquartered in Salt Lake, and she has to go there once a year. So the next time she goes for her retreat, I'm going to tag along, take the week off work, and like, all right, have fun. I'm going to go to Lagoon, at least for a couple days, maybe.
Hey, that sounds nice.
Yep. Got it all
well, I
planned
do
out.
have one last fact about roller coaster before we move on. It's actually pretty interesting. You look at Lagoon and you look at roller coaster. They currently have a mix between white painted lumber and unpainted brown lumber. In the park, they have a sign that just says it. All new lumber that is put onto roller coaster through regular maintenance or whatever will be unpainted from this point on. Because modern lumber treatments, they say, no longer require paint and the processes that they used back in the day. And they said directly and frankly, it is easier on maintenance inspections and just maintenance in general to use unpainted lumbers. That's what we're going to be using moving forward. So it's interesting for a park to come out and say that, because I know we see some coasters around different parks in the country that maybe are sort of half painted one color, half painted the other because they're in a state of transition with track work or whatever. But it was interesting to see Lagoon really just get out in front of it and say, this is our plan for how roller coaster is going to look in the future. I thought that was very interesting.
Well, and a quick little tie-in here I want to talk about. I'm going to give you one more fact, and it kind of ties into something else we want to talk about. And you already mentioned it, Chris, but Roller Coaster runs Millennium Flyer trains. That's from GCI, Great Coasters International, located in Pennsylvania. Great coaster manufacturer. We were just talking about it before we jumped on the call. That was actually one of the first coasters I was ever on, was a GCI coaster. But I want to talk about our Instagram follower giveaway. 250 followers. We've got 20 followers to go, but I want to mention the winner of this competition on Instagram will receive these Great Coasters International drink coasters. They do say, have a drink on us. They're literally your own coaster in your own house. That's our tie-in. That's my segue, Chris, from the Millennium Flyer trains now on roller coaster to our giveaway for these coasters from Great Coasters International.
Wow, and that's not something that you can buy on Amazon or go down to your local corner store and procure. This is something that, like you said, you can't buy it. You just have to have it or you don't have it. And right now we're people that have it, but if you follow us on Instagram, and once we reach 250 followers, we're going to have a special post. You got to like and comment on that post while you follow. You're going to be put in a drawing, and the winner will be that person that now has the roller coaster coasters. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense. Like you said, you can't really find these anywhere. Really, the only place you can get them is from GCI, or if you go to a trade show they're exhibiting at, it's usually something they give away. So I've got more things in my coaster closet, but for now, that's another CC coaster closet. But for now, this is what we're giving away for our first giveaway. Again, 250th follower. Once that happens, we'll tell you how to win it. We're going to ship only the contiguous United States, though, at this point. But keep listening, and hopefully we'll have the resources to, branch out a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan. It's going to be great. But now, we got to get into this next segment of the show in which we talk about stuff that's going on. So we would maybe ask ourselves a question, what's going on in CoasterBro? This time I'm going to be asking you this question, what's going on?
What's going on? Well, on our Instagram, Coaster Cuzzies, we are doing a new knockout challenge that is going to be bringing in, it's a competition. It's a competition between defunct coasters. And that's what's going on.
Wait, what is a defunct coaster?
Defunct. That is a fancy word that I honestly only hear in the roller coaster community for.
Me too.
I actually, once I wrote an essay in high school and I used the word defunct. And I was doing a coaster essay, and my English teacher told me it wasn't a real word, but it is. Oh. I had to argue it. But defunct means that...
It's definitely a real word.
It's definitely a real word. I had to tell her. She was a student teacher, so I had to go easy on her.
That's fine.
But defunct basically means that it's gone. The roller coaster is gone. It is a thing of the past. Used to operate, no longer operates. That is my definition of defunct.
Okay, so you are doing Defunct Coasters, this knockout challenge on your Instagram. Do I understand it correctly that people get to choose who wins the knockout challenge by commenting on each post the next coaster that they want to remove? Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. And we have a lot of fun in the comments. People that have been around a while might do a little bit of trolling to people that are just showing up.
Oh, no.
And it's quite fun. We have a lot of
Some
fun.
fair trolling. Gotta love it. Keeps the internet alive.
Well,
Yes.
My favorite thing about the knockout challenge is when you remove, like, the background image or the Coaster Cuzzies logo or something like that, where it just goes off the rails.
And it's just, the people just decide that's what's going to happen. And we let it happen because... it's not about us. It's not that serious. We're just having fun. So, yes, the Coaster Cuzzies logo has gotten like 4th place before, which we're pretty proud of. Yes.
Heck yeah.
All right. So
That's awesome.
You got us thinking of defunct coasters. I know you solicited a list of defunct coasters from your listeners and social media familiars,
Yes.
and you sent that our way. And so I took it, I typed up a few things, and now I think as a sort of maybe a warm-up to your Defunct Coaster Knockout Challenge, we should have a Defunct Coaster Draft, in which we each pick from a selection of maybe famous and or infamous roller coasters that have gone the way of the dodo. And at the end, let's have the listeners pick the strongest lineup on the Twitter, and the winner, let's say the winner gets bragging rights. How does that sound?
I am ready for this.
Totally.
Sounds like a great idea.
This is awesome.
Okay.
Thanks for doing this with us, by the way. So glad to have you on the podcast, and let's see what happens.
I'm just excited to be here.
Through randomly selected order that was drawn, we're going to have CoasterBro pick first, then myself, and then DJ, and it will be snake style so that everyone sort of has the same prestige of picks. And let's say we're each going to get 10 coasters to work with. We'll put together our own collections, and at the end, it'll be the listeners that pick who won. So, CoasterBro, you are now on the clock. Tick, 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 tick. You're on the clock. What is your first selection?
All right, so when we're doing these coasters, I'm kind of assuming these are like roller coasters in their prime, like when like their best years, right? So I have to choose
Absolutely.
Dueling Dragons here.
Okay.
With the coasters dueling each other, the vertical loops nearly kicking each other on the trains. That's my first pick.
Point of order here, a quick question. Are you picking Dueling Dragons or Dragon Challenge?
I am picking Dueling Dragons.
Okay, just had to clarify that here. So Dragon Challenge
He's
still
smart.
is on the board.
He's smart, yep.
I'm kidding. Dragon Challenge is not on the board. Yeah, that is smart because you did have that dueling element, which I've heard was amazing, but unfortunately I was never able to experience it. Dear listener, Dragon Challenge, or previously named Dueling Dragons, was the coaster that Hogsmeade and Harry Potter the Wizarding World was built around in 2009, 2010, around there. Pretty soon after Harry Potter and his land opened at Islands of Adventure, the dueling stopped for any number of reasons that have been rumored on the internet, but it never ran dueling again, unfortunately. For its life, it was closed in 2017, and it is now the site of Hag Ride, as we call it on the podcast, or Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. So that is a first overall pick. Dueling Dragons. Now I'm on the clock, and I am going to pick Volcano the Blast Coaster.
Called it. I could have told you were going to pick that one.
I mean, I have to pick a super strong coaster for my first pick, and I mean, I'm continuing with the inverted pattern that we're doing here. So DJ, you might want to pick an inverted coaster if you want to hang with us, but King's Dominion had the first inverted coaster to launch, and it was the only inverted coaster to have a full circuit with a magnetically launch, with a magnetic launch. It was in a volcano. It opened in 98, and it closed before its time in 2018. So that is my first round pick, the second overall Volcano the Blast Coaster. What you got for us, DJ?
I am actually sticking with y'all. This was one of my top picks. I am going to go with something inverted. Actually, going to go with something suspended. And what I believe, dear listener, is the sleeper in this entire list. This is easily the sleeper pick, in my opinion. And that is Eagle Fortress.
Oh, I wanted that one.
And now you don't get it. This is at Everland, located in South Korea. No longer does it exist. However, if you have the time, do yourself a favor. If you are interested in roller coasters at all, go on YouTube, type in Eagle Fortress on-ride POV. That is the most insane suspended coaster I've ever seen in my life. Maybe one of the most insane inverted roller coaster experience you could probably ever have. Essentially, a suspended coaster, dear listener, cars are swinging side to side as they're underneath the track, whereas an inverted coaster, you're staying in the same place. What that means when these cars are swinging is, depending on the turn and the speed of the car, you can be whipped up to the side as you go around a right-hand turn, and then the opposite on a left-hand turn. But most of the time, these rides are described as family rides, I would say. This is an extreme example. I think it went almost 60 miles an hour or faster, and there are a couple turns in there where this sucker just swings almost upside down inverted because it's swinging so fast. It's kind of reminiscent, I should say, of the original Bat at Kings Island, if you've ever seen footage of that. It's wild, it's crazy. That's my pick.
Wow. That was a great first round pick to close out the first round. But now, DJ, it's snake style, so you have the first pick of the second round. What you got?
I'm excited for the second round pick because I know I'm stealing this one from Chris. This one is easy. Hypersonic XLC at King's Dominion. Arguably one of the most intense launch experiences ever created. I think it would be on par with Dododampa at Japan. Might be on par with Max Force in Chicago at Six Flags Great America. This is an S&S compression air launch roller coaster. Chris is going to hate me. I don't even know what the speed is off of the top of my head. Do you know what
80 miles per hour in 1.8 seconds.
That's intense. I imagine that feels like getting hit by a truck. So I'm going to go with that. It would launch you straight up a huge camelback hill. They had to have trim brakes on the top of the hill because of how fast you were going. You come down the hill, hit a huge 90-degree turn, a couple turns back to get you to the station. Very quick experience. But from what I've seen, it's intense. I remember even hearing that the wheels on the ride, they're not urethane. They're like actual rubber because of the speeds of the ride. But I'm picking that one. It also holds a special place in my heart. I think that was one of the very first roller coaster shows I ever watched when I was really young, and I remember that roller coaster being on there. So that's another reason why it's my pick. And I'm excited to win this thing because with these two picks, I think I'm unbeatable already.
Okay, so now I'm on the clock, and you took some coasters away from me, DJ, and I'm not happy about that. But now I have to go back to my drawing board and pick something else out. I am going to pick Batman and Robin the Chiller from Six Flags Great Adventure. This was a dueling set of launched shuttle coasters. They each had a slightly different layout. It opened in '98 at Six Flags Great Adventure and closed in 2007. It looks like it was a crazy, amazing ride when it operated. And that is my second round pick, Batman and Robin the Chiller. Have any of you ridden that?
No. I've been on a Mr. Freeze before, which is a similar experience to the Batman side, I believe. But still, very strange ride.
I am in the same boat. Only Mr. Freeze never got to New Jersey in time to ride that amazing dueling shuttle coaster.
Yeah, it looked amazing because I think a Batman had an inverted top hat and then an inclined zero-G roll right next to Robin's zero-G roll, and it had a sort of a Cobra roll around the inverted top hat, or maybe it was the other way around, but it looked like this incredible mess of steel, and I'm sad that I never got to ride it, but now I can take a little bit of consolation in the fact that it is in my coaster collection. So, CoasterBro, your second round pick, what you got?
All right, the one I am going with is one that nobody has ridden. It is the only one on this list that is just like, it's like the Babe Ruth of coasters. Like, you know it's good, but you never really watched him play a game. I'm doing it. We're going for the Crystal Beach Cyclone at Crystal Beach.
Yeah.
Just a legend of a ride. Rumors that, you know, I don't even know what the folklore is. I think you went to the hospital after you rode it. I don't know. But it was incredibly intense from what all of my history books from when I was a child say. And I had to put that on my list.
Wow. I gotta say, I think that's a good selection. It looked incredible. It opened in 1926, so DJ, take note of that. On our 26th episode, we're going to have to talk about it. But, unfortunately, you took it, so I wiped my hands of it, but I am jealous.
It's almost cheating. I'm not having it on my personal Instagram thing that we're doing because it's just like, it does feel like cheating, but when it's on the board, you do have to take it.
I was going to pick it. You've got the double pick coming up. I'm like, if CoasterBro doesn't take this, it's Crystal Beach Cyclone. Like, there's no other competition.
Yep. And for my next pick, I'm actually going to also... You're going to hurt a little bit more, DJ, here, because I am also picking Ozark Wildcat at Celebration City. My first GCI, your first roller coaster. But it was such a great ride. I remember my first time ever riding it and just being so excited to ride a GCI roller coaster, and it delivered, and I don't know how it didn't get bought and moved somewhere. It was that good of a ride.
I know, it had an insane layout for I felt like it was super compact. It must have been that they would have to do a lot of work to it maybe, because I know like GCI coasters are usually cheaper than others, it seems like, just to build, but man, what a killer layout for sure.
I just doubled down on some two of the best Woodies on the board, I think.
No, you definitely did. This is going to make my job quite difficult here. And looking in the war room, I feel as though I'm going to be honest. I think the best picks are gone. I don't know what either of you think about that, but
I have an ace in the hole.
What, you have an ace in the hole? Yeah, I know. I'm trying to figure out what it is, and I'm fairly certain I know what it is. But I'm trying to diversify my portfolio here, and I don't think I do have two. Oh wait, no, Chris, you're up next.
All right, so it is my turn. We're in round 3, pick 2. I mentioned a little earlier I had an ace in the hole. I think it's time to play that ace. Wait, no, let me I don't know. I could either tell you that this was my ace
Chris,
in the hole and still have another ace, or maybe this is the ace in the hole.
Chris, if you
I'm
don't,
playing mind games with you now.
If you don't take the ace in the hole, I know what you're going to say. I'm going to take it, so you better take it. I know exactly what you're trying to take.
You know what I'm about to do?
Yeah. So you better take it, because I'm going to take it if you don't.
I'm not sure if you do know. I'm not sure if you know. Let me think. I'm trying to play mind games with you now. Am I about to take this ace in the hole, or am I not?
Well, here's the thing.
I
I have two choices, and if you don't pick one of them, I'll pick the other one. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. With my third round pick, I am going to choose Drachenfire, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Did you think that was my ace, DJ?
That was my second choice of what you were going to take. I'm really surprised you took it, actually.
I'm not going to say whether or not this was my original ace, but for the purposes of this mind game, I'm going to say yes, this was my ace in the hole. Because maybe I'll have some magic a little bit later on, but right now I'm picking Drachenfire. It was a crazy aerodynamics design from 1992. It closed in 98. I never got to ride it. And it makes me sad because it looked so interesting. It was like taking a B&M design from the early 90s, but then having Aero change it and shape it into something that Aero could do, something that Aero was used to. And we saw things with Drachenfire, like with the Cobra roll and the style of corkscrew and the cutback element as well. We saw things that Aero never did before, and they never did again in their designs. So I was very interested to see that a park that I know very well, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, had such an interesting roller coaster in Drachenfire for such a short amount of time, and now Drachenfire is in my lineup.
Just a great pick.
Have any of you ridden it?
No,
I have not.
Can't say I have. I've read the No Limits version. That was, I think, the
Yeah.
first No Limits you could ride Dragonfire.
I think you can count that.
Well, yeah, it's a credit is a credit in any form.
Hey, if you count powered coasters.
Yeah. One of the super nerdy things about me is I feel like I went on No Limits and I took the Dragonfire blueprint, turned it into a B&M, and then just made it better. Like just what it should have been, basically.
I did that same thing. I can't believe you did
Yeah,
that.
it's like I gotta fix it, rewrite history.
We are nerds.
Yeah. I could have told you that.
CoasterBro, tell me you did it too.
Oh, no, I did not. I was not that nerdy. But I am impressed by both of you.
I'm pretty sure I have a YouTube video of my layout somewhere. I'm going to have to put that out on our socials. I'm pretty proud of what I did for that layout.
I'm out of here, guys. Just pick for me. Auto draft.
Auto draft. Okay.
Boomerang, boomerang.
Yeah, so don't leave.
No
All right,
wacky
so that
words.
was-
Really upset.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said we're working from the list that the Coaster Cuzzies listeners put together. Again, I added a few things to spice it up a little bit, but this is a list that they generated, and it's a great list. So, DJ, are you up next? Is that right?
I'm up next, and I think I'm about to take your ace. I think, Chris.
Okay, let's see. I'm not going to give up anything on my poker face.
It's okay. I'll have another try if I don't get it, so that's fine. I got two in a row here. So, this is going to make... I was talking about diversification. Going to have to go back on what I was saying because this is not going to make it as diverse as it was. I'm going with what I would call... This is the long-lost lover in many coaster enthusiasts' life. This is one that... if you're like me, you didn't have the chance to experience it, there will always be a longingness in your heart for it. If you did experience it, you still feel that loss. You don't have it anymore. You can never have it again. And now you have to look at what's there. And that makes you even more angry and maybe even a little furious, depending on your view of this ride. I'm going with Big Bad Wolf, Busch Gardens Williamsburg. I'm looking at Chris's face, and he's trying not to give any visual reaction to that pick. I thought for sure he would pick that because, as cool as Drachenfire was, we all know it was a terrible ride. It rode terrible.
Whoa!
CoasterBro was talking about, he's like, oh, this is like rides in their heyday. Drachenfire never had a heyday, so I didn't have to worry about that.
Its heyday was after they took out the corkscrew right after the mid-course brake run. I mean, you got to know how to ride it. At least that's how I imagine people would defend the coaster in the 90s.
My favorite video of that ride is when they take the camera on Drachenfire, and even though it's an old camera, the camera can barely even keep up. It's comparable to Son of Beast. So I'm going with Big Bad Wolf. I already have Eagle Fortress on here. It's a suspended coaster. That being said, this is my inverted coaster, or my suspended coaster pick as well. Lots of crazy tight turns, cool setting, right out of the storybook, and then probably, I would say, one of the most iconic drops of any ride in history. I mean, that photo that people take, now that Verbolten takes its spot, I mean, it just, I don't know, I feel like it makes you a little angry, Chris, because it made me a little angry. Like, I'll never get to experience that. Now you have just this Z-Air fun dark ride roller coaster combination. So Big Bad Wolf is my pick. That's my third pick. And now, because of the snake layout, I get another pick.
Well, let me say something about Big Bad Wolf. Let me eulogize it a little bit.
Okay.
I never got to ride Big Bad Wolf, and for a lot of my life, I considered not riding Big Bad Wolf when I had the chance as one of my greatest regrets. Because, of course, I know Busch Gardens Williamsburg very well. I've been many times, and in 2009, there were things like, I didn't ride coasters back then, that sort of thing, but I thought, I don't know, Big Bad Wolf, they're celebrating its 25th anniversary. I don't know, it just looks like a lot. I'll ride it next year.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah, I'll ride it next year. I'll ride it when it's 26 years old. But then it closed, and it was removed. And I never got a chance to ride it, DJ, and I think about it a lot. And
senior send-off.
I mean, sometimes when I ride Verbolten, I close my eyes as I go down that drop, and I try to piece it together what was. And sometimes when I'm riding the Bat at Kings Island, I close my eyes, and I try to put together the experience that was the Big Bad Wolf. But unfortunately, I never got the chance to ride it, and I never will ride it, because it's taking the big nap right now.
Yes. Going back to Defunct, again, dear listener, that's a Defunct ride. All of these are Defunct. They will never exist again. We can recreate them, but it'll always be difficult. Jumping into my pick after that very sad story that Chris has shared with us, that is really sad. I don't know if I have a ride similar to that. Actually, I do. Okay, so it's influencing this next pick. This is a ride that I wish I would have ridden when it existed. I could not. Because I think I had not been to this park yet, like I hadn't visited before, so it would have been impossible. And B, I still think I would have been too young by the time it was closed. The one I want to pick is not on this list, and I find that very interesting because it would have been a shoo-in for me. I don't see it on here, so I'm going to have to pick a similar ride as my choice. And so for my draft pick, putting it in the list here, we've got Zambezi Zinger at Worlds of Fun. Now this is a very calculated pick. I don't know if it's pronounced Zambezi, Zambezi. I think it's Zambezi. CoasterBro might have some information.
Zambezi.
That's what I've always said. I'm actually wearing a Worlds of Fun shirt right now. I have the collection. They have a Charlie Hustle shirt collection. I've got all those shirts, and this is one of them, the Zambezi Zinger. This is a Schwarzkopf, sort of like a bobsled twisted family coaster you would ride in line. I think you could put 4 people. So you kind of rode like you're on a log flume, going back to that SNL skit. Very similar to that, kind of awkward depending on who you're with, but it had an electrical spiral lift that took you up, and then you went into the woods. There was a tunnel element, very long ride for what it was. Not the fastest, not the longest, not the scariest, but definitely a ride that fit very well in the Africa section of the park, a ride that is missed to this day by many a coaster enthusiast who have rode it, and including me who wanted to ride it. And now it is occupied by none other than a freaking boomerang. So,
boo.
Yeah, boo. The tunnel still exists. It's really interesting. It's still there. I think when they did their Dinosaurs Alive, they kind of opened it up, then they walled it back in. So, I don't know. I think as things are getting more nostalgic nowadays and remaking stuff, I would love to see a modern day interpretation of the Zambezi Zinger. I think it'd do really well at that park. So that's my pick.
Okay. You're putting an idea in my head to do a Planet Park segment with Worlds of Fun next.
It needs one.
I think, he's throwing shade. Okay.
It's in the best way. I love the park. There's just decisions. There's decisions we don't know about, and so we can't be a part of those conversations. But I know what I'd do.
So we're We'll have our own conversations. We'll have our own planning of Worlds of Fun.
Corkscrew conversation, you could say.
Exactly, yes. Okay, who's next?
It's you.
Oh, me. Whew. I guess I better pay closer attention to the draft. I have an ace in the hole, and DJ, I'm going to tell you now because I'm playing mind games with you. Big Bad Wolf was not my ace in the hole. Because all things considered, It was a pretty short ride. And, I mean, it was probably... I mean, it's universally beloved and everything. What? What is it?
Oh, I just saw one that I didn't take. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm bad at poker face. I can't believe I just picked the Zambezi Zinger. Go ahead. No.
Well, which one were you going to pick?
I can't tell you.
Go ahead, tell me.
I have to pick it when it's my turn. If somehow you all don't pick it in the next, 3 picks? Yeah, 4 picks. There's no way I'm getting this one.
Okay.
I didn't see it.
Because I have 2 coasters.
This is like not
right
seeing
now.
Travis Kelce or not seeing Aaron Rodgers somehow on your draft list. It's like,
it's how they slip into the draft.
Yeah, they just slip.
Okay. Because I have 2 coasters that are sort of... I'm kicking around which one to pick first because I think they're under the radar, but they look like amazing coasters in their time. I'm not sure if they're on your radar, though. But for this next pick, I am going to choose the Dana Beach Hurricane.
Nope, not that one.
Or was it? Are you trying to play mind games with me now?
It really wasn't. I'm going to be completely honest with both of you. This is the only one on here I've never even heard of this one.
The Dana Beach Hurricane?
No. I have no clue what that is.
Okay, if you look at pictures, it was this enormous wooden coaster that opened at Boomers in, I think it's in South Florida, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. It was this huge, sort of twisty, out-and-back wooden coaster. It operated from 2000 to 2011. I think that whole park is gone now since as well. But that is my pick because it's a big, good wooden coaster by the look of it. And now it is my 4th round selection. And I got another ace in the hole, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet because then you'd pick it.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that.
Man.
CoasterBro, you're up next.
I feel like I'm gonna break some hearts here. I think I'm picking somebody's ace in the hole here, because I don't know how this hasn't been picked yet. But I'm gonna pick this ride because it's just like explicitly unique compared to like all the other ones left. And I have to pick the wacky soapbox racers at Knott's Berry Farm. The single rail coaster. It's a classic. West Coasters love it, and I have to pick that ride.
That was not my ace. I'll say, for the intents and purpose of this, that was my ace, so now you don't have to look for my other ace. Wacky Soapbox Racers. I think, was it 76 that it first opened?
I can look it up as we're 76 to 96.
Closed in 96. It was one of the first big coasters at Knott's Berry Farm that was taking it as it transitioned from this loose amalgamation of attractions around the chicken stand to becoming a proper theme park. And unfortunately, they closed Wacky Soapbox Racers. And do either of you know what took its place as soon as it closed?
Windjammers, right?
Yes, that's right.
That terrible
Togo.
Hey, we didn't have that on this list. We need to add the
looks terrible.
Windjammers.
That would have been my first pick.
Oh, man.
I was talking about Orient Express. I can't believe you had a Zambezi Zinger, but not Orient Express.
I was kicking it around, but then I thought, we don't want too much Worlds of Fun in here. Wait, no. If I had put in... Oh my gosh, now I'm gaming it out of my head. If I had put in more formal Worlds of Fun, both of you with your ties to Worlds of Fun would have been inclined to pick more of those Worlds of Fun coasters, leaving me my aces in the holes. I didn't think this one through.
Man, I'd hate to do a football draft with you. That would be wild.
I'm not good at drafting in fantasy football. It doesn't work well. Because... I mean, it's for the past 4 years, my first round draft picks have been either they end up on injured reserve or they're Lev Bell when he didn't play that year. So that is my draft history of football. It's not great, but I'm hoping to turn things around with this coaster draft. And yeah, Wacky Soapbox Racers was replaced by this strange coaster that was the Windjammers. It never really worked. But now, do either of you know what is in its place?
Hang Time.
That is incorrect.
Is it the Wild Mouse across from Hang Time?
That is also incorrect. If I was playing trivia here, I think I would.
You would win.
Knott's Berry
Well,
Farm
at least
trivia.
with obscure
Yep.
Knott's Berry Farm trivia. I mean, it was my home park for like a year.
Do you know what
but-
popular
okay.
theme park was designed by the same person as the person that designed Knott's Berry Farm?
Knott's Berry Farm was designed?
Yeah,
Who designed it?
can't remember his name.
That's okay.
I'm just curious. I can just tell you the person that designed Frontier Town. There you go. How about that?
Oh, Ghost Town. Is that what you're saying?
Ghost Town. Yeah, Ghost Town. Frontier Town's Cedar Point.
Oh, they were designed by the same person?
No. The person that designed Ghost Town at Knott's Berry Farm also designed 2 other parks. Do you know which parks those are?
Ghost Town in the Sky and Silver Dollar City.
So
Is that right?
I think this is right. So, dear listener, tell me if I'm wrong. You're half right. Silver Dollar City and Frontier City, the original designs.
Oh, interesting. The plot thickens.
It does.
I was just guessing with Ghost Town in the Sky.
I think is CoasterBro's 5th pick.
Yeah, I've got one more pick here, and
Okay, let's see what you got.
this pick is one that I personally hate. I think this is a terrible ride, and it deserved to be burned to the ground, but the people love it. So I am going to say Vortex at Kings Island as my 5th pick.
Really? Now
Yes,
that's
it's
something I didn't think would come up. I thought that was going to be like last 2 rounds. Now is that nostalgic purposes or just symbolic? Like you said, the people love it, so you're hoping that people will be like, "Oh yeah, I like that. I got to vote for it."
I think so. The people of Cincinnati loved that ride and were so sad when Vortex left, and it's fresh. It's kind of freshly gone and still in their hearts. It's an awful ride. I do not like it, but
It's
But
terrible.
I even think of it's really bad. But I even think of Orient Express. While I didn't get to ride it in Kansas City, just to kind of bring it to us here, people loved that ride, but I just know it was rough and not good. And I don't know. The people of Cincinnati love it. Actually, kind of based on our initial round of our Instagram, it's currently the 3rd most nominated coaster on kind of our defunct knockout that we're going to be doing. So I kind of cheating with my own research here, but I got to pick Vortex, unfortunately.
Okay, let me defend Vortex for a moment.
Why? Because it's the first upside down coaster somebody rode? I mean it's fine.
No, but the first drop and the second drop were amazing. Great air time. It was intense. You only had that over-the-shoulder restraint with you. But then there was the rest of the ride, and that was the problem.
I will agree with you on that, actually. I remember the first drop of Vortex explicitly, like, that was surprising.
Yeah. It's like
Like-
Loch Ness Monster. The first and second drops of Loch Ness Monster, you really get some good airtime on there.
I'd agree with you on that.
I'm going to say Vortex was a solid pick. Even if DJ hates it, it's a solid pick
I
for
don't
me.
hate it. I just it feels like it. I remember it like crawling through the loops almost. Like that's the thing that stuck out to me. It felt like it barely made it through the elements. But that's all I can really remember. I rode it once and it was fine. But yeah,
Okay. So
It's fine.
now it's my turn to have a little draft pick, and I'm trying to I'm trying to figure out if I should play my ace in the hole now or wait, because I think it's going to throw y'all for a loop, pun intended.
oof.
Or is that not a pun? Wordplay intended.
Left the chat again.
Okay, I am going to play my ace in the hole as Zonga, which was at multiple parks, including Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. It was a Schwarzkopf mega looper that opened in 1996 as the earliest I could find, and it closed in 2016 at one park. And it wasn't at the Six Flags Discovery Kingdom when it closed, but I think it had also opened initially at Gronelund in Sweden. So, Zonga. It's like you look up pictures of this, and you think about the late generation Schwarzkopf Mega Loopers. They're enormous. They have all of these loops, and the loops have supports that are attached to other loops, and it looks amazing. And I heard it was so intense, much like the existing Schwarzkopf loopers that are still here. But that was my ace in the hole. I am playing Zonga. It had many other names, but for the purposes of this draft, we shall call it Zonga.
I'm going to say that I think so few people know about this that it won't be a significant pick for you.
Ouch.
That's just how I feel. I had to look that one up too.
Yeah, but it looks amazing, doesn't it?
Looks fine.
I think it might be one of the best coasters on the list, if I'm being honest.
Really?
That was my ace in the hole.
Yeah, that's it was between Vortex and Zonga for me, and I went with Vortex for popularity.
I think that people are going to do their research when they are given the option to vote between our different coaster collections. They're going to see Zonga and they're going to say, wow. Now that was a coaster that knew what it wanted it to do. It wanted to be bad and amazing and intense and put people upside down. And it did it in many countries around the world. And now it's gone the way of the dodo. That doesn't mean that it wasn't amazing in its time. And that is my pick, Zonga.
Okay, that's fair. So, it's my pick, I believe. Right? Yeah, I've got 2 picks. I want to take a survey between the both of you. I feel like, looking at my war room, and we have the same war room, obviously, I don't see anything on here that's really special at this point. Now, do you guys agree or disagree? Like, there's definitely ones on here that I'm like, okay, this one was really famous, but I don't think it carries the clout, let's say, or the prestige. I think we've picked through almost all of those. Like, and when I say prestige, like, there are some really famous rides on here that we're looking at. I mean, there are some that are even in movies, let's say. But I think all the good ride experiences are gone.
For the purposes of this mind game, I am going to agree with you. But I think I have a few other, maybe spades in the hole, or clubs in the hole. I don't know the extension of this saying, but I will agree. Yeah, they're all bad, DJ. There's only bad coasters left. So just pick something random.
I would agree with you on this, DJ. The rest of the coasters on the list, I would never have to re-ride them again. Like I wouldn't. Yeah. A tear is not shed. It is. I'm happy that most of these are gone.
Yeah, what he said. Wink, wink.
Now that being said, and this is not a mind game, there is one left that I would love to ride again. And I know that Chris may have an idea of what I'm thinking about. I have defended these rides probably since I've first been on one, and I had been on before I met you, Chris. I love these rides. I think they're great. I understand why parks are removing them. And this was, I think, the first removal we saw. That being said, I absolutely love this ride experience. I don't think there are some comparable ride experiences to it, and you could find it in different places as well, honestly. But I think it's special. And so I'm going with something that I could not wait to ride. I had seen it in brochures. I'd seen it on websites, YouTube. Finally got to ride it, I believe, in junior high. Might have been freshman year of high school. That is Firehawk, Kings Island. This ride has, in my opinion, an incredible color scheme. A deep red, a nice gray silver support, an incredible near miss on the last helix. Like, there's a point on that ride, dear listener, where it seems as though you are going to smack a support right with your face. This is a ride, it's a Flying Dutchman model by Vekoma. You would get in the ride backwards, like you would sit straight up, the track is behind you, then you would be laid down, and while you're in the station, so you're flat on your back, and as you ascend the lift hill and you go down the first little pre-drop, you do like half of a twist, half of a barrel roll, to where you're now flying. So it's a different way to get the flying experience. Incredibly intense ride. I love the first turn over the queue line. The loop is awesome because it's essentially a front flip instead of a back flip that you would normally experience. I think it had 2 inline twists in a row. Like I said, the helix was wild. I thought this was actually a ride that I was kind of shaking before I first got on it. I was like, okay, maybe because I have a problem with motion sickness, as the listeners know, which is funny because I love roller coasters. This is one where I thought, I'm going to be embarrassed. I'm just going to hurl when I get off this thing. This thing had me screaming the entire time. So that's my pick. A lot of people didn't like it, but I think it's better than Orion. So,
Okay, I'll give you that pick.
all right. Any other comments, guys? Are we good with that?
I mean, DJ, it's bold of you to choose a coaster that is a near clone. I wouldn't say it's an exact clone, but it's a near clone of two coasters that still exist. That's a bold choice, DJ, but thank you for taking that coaster, so now I don't have to take it.
Yeah, no problem. Now I'm really at the point where I'm just going to be picking. I'm going to try and justify why I've got it. Like, I'm just looking at stats at this point. Hopefully this person's playing one game during the year. That's kind of where I'm at. And so for me, I think I'm going to have to go with this one. And please don't judge me on this. But I'm going to go with the Great American Scream Machine as my pick.
Yes.
Oh, were you baiting me to pick that?
I reverse psychologied you into picking that.
Okay, so now you're going to pick what you thought I was going to pick, I assume.
I'm playing my game right now. You are playing your game. CoasterBro's here too. But I am, like, I didn't realize when I started this draft the mental element that I was going to have to undergo. I am playing two different games right now. One is in the Excel spreadsheet, and the other is in your mind.
That's totally fine. Totally fine.
So pick your arrow looper. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's my arrow looper. Just real quick, I think it had 6 inversions. Does that sound right? 6 or 7?
7.
So a lot of inversions for an arrow looper. It's almost an exact clone of Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain. It's similar. Pick this just because it was a big ride. I'm sure lots of memories were made on it. Some people might be upset that now a B&M stand-up is in its place. That's from a different park, already existed. That being said, there's also a little nostalgia factor. This was in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 as one of the Six Flags parks, so made me a lot of money.
Well, that being said, I mean, you look at the design for Great American Scream Machine and Viper and Shockwave at Great America in its time. If the layout can be easily replicated in Roller Coaster Tycoon, it's probably not a great layout.
Okay, that's fair.
Because of those right angles and those jarring transitions.
It's all right. It's all right.
But, I mean, that's why it's defunct. I mean, all of these coasters were defunct for one reason or another. I think Coaster 101 has a great article about why a coaster is removed. So, listener, if you're wondering why a lot of these coasters are removed, go ahead and read that article. We might have a discussion about defunct coasters or whatever later on. But it's interesting because I think some of the first picks that we got were amazing ride experiences that the stars were just crossed for them, unfortunately, and they are no longer thrilling guests. But we're getting to the point in the draft where there's some imperfect characters left that maybe had a great layout at one time, but then it didn't age well, or it opened rough and then it got worse, or that sort of thing. And that's just what we're working with right now. We're sort of picking from the scraps. That being said, I do have my next pick ready. But first, DJ, close up your Great American Scream Machine talk.
That's pretty much all I had. I was just going to say I've got 2 picks left, and I'm probably not going to get the last one I want. So have at it, boys.
Okay, let's see what round we are in. So let's see how many draft picks I have left. Let's see, I have 3 picks left. DJ, you have 2 picks left. CoasterBro, you have 3 picks left. Just to give you a quick reminder of that, I am picking a coaster that I am surprised that it lasted this long. I am surprised that it has gone undrafted this long. Like, this is Russell Wilson essentially right now. This is someone, we're in a late round, and this is Tom Brady. Made it to the 6th round, and we're like, oh my gosh, Tom Brady's here. Let's draft him. I am picking a coaster that only operated from, let's say, 2000 to 2009. Within those 9 or 10 years, it really only operated 8 or 9 years. There was one calendar year where it wasn't open. This was a legendary coaster in its time, I'm going to say. It broke a ton of records. It was a sort of sequel to another coaster at the park. And it's a coaster, hold on a moment. It's a roller coaster that I have a piece of track from. It's Son of Beast at Kings Island. Dear listener, I know you can't see this right now, but I am holding up a plaque which has a mounted piece of track from Son of Beast. This was an RCCA wooden coaster. This was a huge monster wooden coaster. It was a hyper coaster, but it had a loop too. It had a 217-foot drop. It was super long. It had enormous helices. It had big heavy trains that they replaced it with lighter trains later on in the run. It looked amazing. Now the land, it closed in 2009. So it stood standing but not operating for years afterwards. It was finally demolished in the fall of 2012. It broke my heart to see it never reopen. It never got RMC'd. And they sold pieces of the track, and I bought it because I wanted a piece of it. I visited Kings Island when I was too young to ride big coasters in 2004, and I looked up at it and I said, wow, look at that coaster. It's huge. I'm not going to ride it, but that looks amazing. And I never got a chance to ride it, much like Big Bad Wolf. So I take solace in the fact that I own a piece of it now. Whenever I had to go to Kings Island, when I'm walking down to the Bat, I pause for a moment. I stop my group and say, hey guys, let's pause for a moment. I need to pay my respects. And I walk to where the entrance of Son of Beast was. I put my hands on the metal rail. I look up to the station, which is now a Halloween haunt house. And I have a moment of silence. Maybe I tell the story to passersby for a few minutes. I say, come round, hear ye, hear ye. Who wants to hear the story of Son of Beast? A coaster too big to last, really. And then I tell the story of Son of Beast. I usually take out a hat for collections afterwards. Usually the employees don't see it, but if they do, they get a little disappointed in me and say, you can't do that, right? Wait, are you an associate here? Are you doing a show? No, I'm just telling the story of Son of Beast, my good fellow. And then I move on and I ride Bat, and I think, wow, it was right next to this coaster right here. And then I ride Adventure Express and I say, oh, Son of Beast was right here. But I never got to ride it, and I know it was probably super rough and a lot of people didn't like it, but it just looked like such a beautiful layout. These enormous valleys of this wooden superstructure and everything.
And meanwhile, I'm marathoning Banshee the whole time, so that's my 2 cents.
What say you, CoasterBro? You ever ride Son of Beast?
I went to the park twice while it was standing but not operating. Once when it was down before they took the loop out, and then once after they took the loop out. And I will be honest, every time I looked at it, I was like, thank God that's not open. It's so scary looking, and I do not want to get beat today.
You just got to know how to ride it.
That's true. And that was going to be my next pick, by the way, so I'm very upset with you.
Okay.
Oh.
I think you're gonna get some Cincinnati people that are like really excited, or just kids that love. I think it has a little bit of Crystal Beach Cyclone folklore.
Oh yeah.
I think it was Defunct Land or Yesterworld or something like that. They did a video on it. Even it's in the mainstream. People know about Son of Beast because they know about Beast. That's internationally recognized.
You have Son of Beast. CoasterBro has Vortex. So you've also now split that Cincinnati vote. I think that's something to note.
Oh man,
I was going to run away
should have
with
been
it.
playing the politics.
Yeah, you were. Now that you pointed that out, that would have been good.
Okay. Well, it is now CoasterBro. It's your turn. What you got next?
And another reason it would have been good is if I would have got Son of Beast, I would have followed up with disaster transport at Cedar Point, and I would have had all of Ohio. But you've split it, and I am going to go ahead and stick with my disaster transport pick for Cedar Point, though. That has like a weird cult following from Cedar Point people, and I don't know that I understand it. Yeah, there you go. He's got a shirt. Other people probably have that shirt, so you're into it. So. I don't know, it's just that corny theming and the unique bobsled style coaster, the corniness of, what was it, Dispatch? transport, was it?
It was an
Dispatch.
acronym for something.
Yes,
I
and
cannot
then like the
remember.
lights were out and it said disaster transport. But I don't know. It's something that I think all Cedar Point people miss and love, much like I miss the Zambezi Zinger at Worlds of Fun.
Yeah, it's got
that's my
that
pick.
black light mini golf paint too.
Yes. Why did they ever take it out? Everyone's so mad that Gatekeeper took its spot, even though the park is about 20 times prettier with that ride.
Oh yeah.
Other than
Yeah.
and not having the disgusting looking box.
Love that entrance now.
So now I'm scrambling because I thought I could take a knee on the last pick, but now I have to figure out what I'm gonna pick for my next pick. And I think I'm just gonna go. I'm going movies. I'm going to LA. I'm gonna pick Colossus at
There it
Six
is.
Flags Magic Mountain, and that would be my second either racing or dueling coaster on my list. So technically, I have 2 more roller coasters than all of you. I think. I don't know if that's.
I have Batman and Robin the Chiller. So
You're just ruining my plans. You're
it's all a mind game.
You're playing the mind game really well. But I'm just going to pick that one. It's iconic. I think any general person has seen that roller coaster, might even recognize it even. Its replacement, much better. But I do have to pick Colossus.
Okay, I will say I never got to ride either version of the roller coaster, but that was pretty high up on my list of coasters left to be selected. So you took that one from me. I do have something else lined up for the next pick, but
That's
Colossus, it was
real
a part-
quick. Oh, I was just going to say. I think you were going to say it, that we need to really quick talk about. This is the National Lampoon roller coaster.
Yeah. It was also in... No, this wasn't the roller coaster that was during the finale of Roller Coaster. That was
That's
Revolution.
Revolution. Revolution, yeah.
Oh, Revolution.
For the finale, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So it is now my turn, and I mean, now we're looking at scraps, and it's hard to pick a great next roller coaster. So now, DJ, I agree with you more closely now. It's slim pickings, to say a little southern phrase. It's slim pickings. I am going to pick, I mean, we're pretty much down to it now. Do I want to pick a wooden coaster or a clone? I'm going to pick Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. I'm going to have to censor that out. But Rattler, it was the roller coaster that then became Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. It was this enormous wooden coaster that interacted with the side of the quarry wall, much like the current Iron Rattler does as well, but it had this tunnel into the rockwork. I mean, they had to blast out this tunnel to put wooden coaster track in it, and that just blows my mind. It has to have been a very unique wooden roller coaster layout. I hear that Iron Rattler is amazing. I hear that maybe Rattler, towards the end of its operational life, wasn't the best experience, but you gotta think in its heyday, Rattler was probably one of the greatest wooden coasters out there. It opened in 1992 by RCCA, and it closed in 2012 to make room for Iron Rattler. That is my second to last pick. Yeah, that is my second to last pick, Rattler. Did any of you get a chance to ride that?
No, been to the park. Oh, you have. CoasterBro has.
Oh, what did you think of it?
I thought Rattler, at the time I rode it, was my least favorite roller coaster of all time. It was a pretty roller coaster. I gotta give it that. It's pretty. But, man, it really shuffled, really hurt. Like, the bottom of the drops, you're just cursing at the top of your lungs. And then you go up on the quarry wall, and then the pacing is completely ruined by this weird triple helix on top of a quarry wall. And the tunnel was cool. I did like the tunnel, but man, yeah. I remember waiting a long time for some reason to ride that ride, and it was day ruining. Not to ruin your pick, but
it's a 7th round. It's not a superstar.
I will say I'm impressed that it was listed.
Yeah, the people wanted to talk about Rattler, so that's what we're doing. And I guess maybe it wasn't the greatest ride experience, but it looked cool, so that has to count for something.
There are great videos on YouTube. I think, well, one video, Rattler, and you can see it shifting, how bad it would move. I think you just have to look up Rattler shifting or something like that. It's crazy. Okay. I got my last 2 picks. Not much strategy here. I'll try and justify this first one. I did get to ride it. I rode it more than 3 times, but I rode this 3 separate years on 3 separate trips. So I've had 3 different experiences with it. Every year it got worse. The 3rd year I rode it, I'm like, this thing needs to be gone. This is terrible. So it's Mean Streak at Cedar Point. Picking it because the Ohio vote, the Cedar Point fans, maybe they're like, I love Mean Streak. Never know. Not much to really say about this. I mean, historically, yeah, I think at one point it was the tallest, fastest, longest wooden roller coaster. Well, it wouldn't be longest because of Beast, but it was fastest and tallest, I believe. I heard it was fine when it was first constructed. When I rode it the first time in 2010, I believe, it was okay. I liked how long it was. Definitely a rough ride, though. Steel Vengeance is incredible, so I'm not upset it's gone at all. Just an incredible ride that's there in its place. So that's that pick. And then I guess I have my final pick here. I don't really know at this point.
How are you going to close it up?
Not in a good way. That's for sure. I just realized I was in your war room, but I didn't see anything, Chris. I didn't see anything.
You're looking at my plans.
I really didn't.
Espionage.
What if I just closed it with just to be funny? Like there's it's not a good ride. There's no reason it ever should have been there. Yeah, I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything. Something that's super obvious because I've done that twice now. I'm gonna say I did it again accidentally.
What, in my war room?
I didn't see anything. I
Get out of there.
Now, DJ, while you're picking this last pick, I do want to bring up that Mean Streak is a solid 8 in our 8th place in our nominations.
Really?
So you might not have had a bad pick there.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I mean, it should have been good. It's like one of those rides that should have been and it wasn't. I feel like. Okay,
when untrimmed, I've heard it was good.
So I'm in between. I'll just be honest, because I mean, this is my last pick. I can't really gain anything after this. I'm in between 2 rides. I'm going to tell you my thought process. I'm in between Wildcat, Cedar Point to get that Ohio vote. I have been on that. It's fine. It's whatever. But again, not upset that it's gone. Or Two-Face, because I've heard the Vekoma inverted boomerangs are... Oh, I saw visible reaction there, Chris. Was that something...
You were in my war room.
No, I did not see that in your war room. I
had it bolded because I was going to pick it next.
I didn't see it. I didn't even realize what that was until I'm staring at it and seeing inverted boomerang. And now I realize that is the same thing that's at Silverwood that I did not ride, even though I had the aqua... What?
It is not the same thing, DJ. This is not a giant inverted boomerang. It was just an inverted boomerang. Okay. The same as in Vertigo. Or Stinger at Dorney, which is also defunct. Okay, I mean... Maybe I'm playing mind games with you by letting you into my war room, and you see that I had it bolded.
I'll move us along. Sorry for that. This can be over now. I'm not going to drag it out any longer. I'm going with something that I didn't even talk about. I'm going with the ride I don't know anything about. Going with Cheetah, Wild Adventures.
That's a solid last pick, because it was... I imagine it being similar to Shivering Timbers. Same manufacturer, sort of same design. It's an out and back with a few twists and turns. They just announced that it was defunct a few weeks ago. So
I don't know how it rode, but I assume because it was at a Herschend park, they probably took more care of it. That's really all I have to say about it. I don't even know what the layout is.
In my one visit to Wild Adventures, that ride was closed, and I was out. Yeah, it was terrible. I was like, what? I drove down here for this. The one unique coaster in this park is closed, and now everyone gets to do that. But as we were leaving the park, I swear every maintenance man on staff was just hammering at the turnaround, just boom, boom, boom. So I don't have a lot of belief in that ride. That's an awesome story. Yeah, it looked like, and like half the rides were like shut down in the park, but every maintenance man was hammering away at that turnaround. But man,
That's wild.
I'm so upset I didn't get to ride that ride.
My similar story is the only time I've been to King's Dominion was literally the week they closed Volcano forever, so I never got to ride that. All right, Chris, you're up.
Okay, let me do one final look over the layout, the list of coasters. Make sure I'm not missing anything out of consideration. We are going to have some pretty interesting coasters that will go undrafted. Let me see. Well, Cheetah and Two-Face were the ones that I was considering, so now really going to have to scrape the bottom of the barrel. Let me go through the ones that are still remaining. There is Wildcat at Cedar Point. There is Shockwave at King's Dominion. Shockwave at Six Flags Great America. Hercules at Dorney Park. Georgia Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia. And that's it. Those are the only remaining coasters for our final two picks.
Chris, I did accidentally see Two-Face on your list, but I felt bad because I'm like, I saw it, I can't take it from him.
Oh yeah, because you thought it was a giant inverted boomerang.
Yeah.
Huh.
Nope.
This changes everything.
I said Cheetah. I really did see it. That was the only one I saw, and I was like, I can't do it.
I'm not going to pick Two-Face the flip side. I am going to pick a roller coaster that is actually the name of two of the remaining coasters, with the goal that when people see my coaster collection on the draft, they will see the name Shockwave and either think, oh yeah, he picked the coaster that was at King's Dominion, or oh yeah, he picked the coaster that was at Great America, and I'll get the collective goodwill from both of those fan bases for Shockwave. Now, the actual coaster that I'm picking, it's going to have to be Shockwave at King's Dominion, because that was actually my first roller coaster that I rode that went upside down.
Oh.
So, I mean, I don't have a piece of Shockwave. I have a shirt that says Shockwave, but yeah, that is my final draft pick. My 8th round pick is Shockwave at King's Dominion. Now, that being said, it of course was not a great coaster by any means, but it had a few nice moments of airtime. And if you really, it didn't have over-the-shoulder restraints. It had these bizarre togo restraints for it that meant that there wasn't really any headbanging, but it also, it did beat you up a little bit in that final turnaround. But that helix was just so intense. You were essentially parallel to the ground when you were in that helix, and the loop was pretty fun. The airtime hills were strange on a stand-up coaster, but not necessarily strange in a bad way. I know, like, I can see why it has been removed. I kind of still wish it was there, because now there's just a flat ride called Delirium in its place, but that is my pick. That is my final draft pick, Shockwave at King's Dominion.
Have you been on that one, CoasterBro? I have not.
I have. I think I got a chance to ride it in its last year of operating, and I went into it expecting just a terrible stand-up, but it was fine.
It looks like a fine ride from what I saw.
Yeah. Like, I would have rewrote it if I went back to King's Dominion and it was still there. Like, it was good enough to rewrite, and I don't rewrite a lot of bad rides.
Better than Anaconda, I can tell you that, and I haven't even been on Shockwave.
Well, I have one more funny thing to say about Shockwave. I mean, when people are enthusiasts of roller coasters, they get to know the restraint systems of different kinds of coasters pretty well. And you can usually point out an enthusiast because they are efficiently working their way in and out of the roller coaster. They know what to do with their loose articles. They got a strap on their glasses a lot of times, and they know what to do. And with Shockwave, it wasn't very intuitive because you had to push down on a sort of a lap bar, put yourself in the bicycle seat as you moved in the shoulder harness that went around your shoulders instead of on top or beneath, buckle that, and then pull up on the lap bar as they adjusted your height. And so it was incredibly convoluted, but I'll admit, I was very good at getting in and out of those restraints, and I was always down the exit ramp gone by the time that people were trying to figure out their way out of the coaster. And of course, that killed the coaster's capacity because people were trying to figure out how they fit in this coaster, why is there a lap bar, I'm standing up, and that sort of thing. But it was, I don't know, I always got a little kick out of it, and it's already established I'm a nerd, but I would just sort of slither out of the restraint, and I was on my merry way as everybody else was still stuck in the coaster. And yes, I was riding alone because I'm a coaster enthusiast, but on the odd opportunity when like I took, when I'd bring someone and I'd take them and we'd ride Shockwave, I would just leave them. I'd say, you got, okay, do this, do that, I'm out of here. See you on the exit ramp. Peace.
You're a
I
real
have since
person.
matured.
Real person.
I've grown up a little bit since then, but I got a kick out of it when you would just go, okay, boop, boop, I'm out. See you later.
I still do that on Wacky Worms. I beat all the kids.
Yeah. Hey,
First
see you
out.
guys. Make sure you lap bar first. Wait, no. Seatbelt first, lap bar second. Seatbelt first, lap bar second. That's what they always yell on Steel Vengeance, but yeah. All right, you're going to close it up for us, Coaster Bro. You got the last pick of the draft.
Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant here. Am I still seeing that Wildcat at Cedar Point is on the board?
That is correct.
Okay,
It is. Yep.
It's between that and Hercules for me. And I'm going to go with the only ride on here that I think I would like to ride. Might be, I mean, it's rewritable. Like, it's nothing special. It's a clone. But it is a Schwarzkopf coaster. Coaster nerds love that. And it is at Cedar Point.
True. Yep.
And coaster nerds love that. And it's just too hard to keep a Schwarzkopf from not being on the board here. So I'm going to go with Wildcat at Cedar Point. I was going to go Hercules, but during our knockout nominations, it actually wasn't nominated.
Yeah, this is one I added for the draft.
Yes, and I'm thinking it deserves to be on my team. But Wildcat is just going to be one of those easy grabs that people think, it's on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't underestimate the Cedar Point fan base. Don't underestimate that.
No.
That's true. I've always loved the Wildcat logo, like super nostalgic. They never changed it, just kind of retro. It had that wacky chain lift that was literally just like, looked like a chain swing chain, if anyone remembers that. It's just like outside of the chain guard bouncing up and down.
Wow.
But that was one ride, like obviously Cedar Point wasn't as big as it is now at one point, but I never understood that ride, like why they had it. It just kind of seemed like, okay, out of every other ride. So I think that's a solid choice, Coaster Bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, you can ride at fairs and stuff. I don't know why it was there either.
Yeah.
But I just remember like the last time I rode
You have two Wildcats now as well. So you've got the Wildcat card there.
Oh, I do?
We'll see.
I don't know, Coaster Bro. I think that's going to confuse people.
No, because Ozark Wildcats are way different, way more southern than normal Wildcats.
Affectionately named the Ozcat.
Yes, the Ozcat.
So that is the final pick of this draft, Wildcat.
That's it.
All right, now let's look at our collections as a whole. Coaster Bro, run us through your list. What do you got?
All right, I have Dueling Dragons, Crystal Beach Cyclone, Ozark Wildcat, Wacky Soapbox Racers, Vortex, Disaster Transport, Colossus, and Wildcat. I would pay to go to this park wherever it is. I would fly. I mean, Dueling Dragons is dueling. The Crystal Beach Cyclone is there. I mean, that alone, guys.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Wildcat.
That's true.
Just Wildcat is there. Like, yeah, of course. I'm
Chef's
dropping,
kiss.
Yes,
Chef's kiss.
I'm dropping all my money on that.
Okay. Well, my selections, I have Volcano, the Blast Coaster from King's Dominion, Batman and Robin the Chiller from Six Flags Great Adventure, Drachenfire from Busch Gardens Williamsburg, Dana Beach Hurricane from Boomers, Zonga from multiple locations including Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, Son of Beast from Kings Island, a roller coaster that I own a piece of track from, Rattler from Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and Shockwave from King's Dominion.
And running down my list, Eagle Fortress, was located in South Korea. Hypersonic XLC, King's Dominion, Big Bad Wolf, Busch Gardens Williamsburg, Zambezi Zinger, Worlds of Fun, Firehawk, Kings Island, Great American Scream Machine, Six Flags Great Adventure, Mean Streak, Cedar Point, and Cheetah, Wild Adventures, Valdosta, Georgia. That's the list.
So, first reactions, looking at our lists whole for the first time, I think mine has a Virginia bias, maybe an East Coast bias. Let me look. Yeah, the only thing out of the East Coast really was Zonga and Son of Beast and Rattler. Everything else was squarely on the East Coast. I wonder how that'll do with voters. If you're listening to us voters right now, let me be the first to say, vote for me and my coaster selection.
That's a pretty bold claim. Really, vote for whoever you think is the best mix here. Obviously, we've pointed out some fandoms, I think. We've got the Ohio listeners. We're going to have some East Coast listeners, of course. There's some really old favorites on there. The Cedar Point fans are probably, there's a good pick on there as well. Looking at this one more time, I think CoasterBro, you've got the oldest roller coaster here, I believe. And then I think I have the only international pick, if that's correct.
Well, Zonga's been everywhere.
Well, that's true. Well, there is my claim to fame. It's gone.
Well, DJ, I will give you the credit of Cheetah, which is the most recently made defunct roller coaster, as it last ran in 2019, in addition to Vortex.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, like we said, we're throwing it to you listeners. Tell us who won. Who do you think has the greatest collection assembled today of the defunct coasters? This was really a great segment. I really enjoyed doing this, and we got to bring it back to Coaster Cuzzies because they're the whole reason we're doing this draft selection today.
Yes, and if you want to vote in our knockout challenge, looking at this list, we want to find out what the best coaster of all of these are. So check us out at Coaster Cuzzies on Instagram. The competition will be live when this show is live, probably a few rounds in, but you're not missing out on anything. They're probably knocking out, like, I don't know, one of Chris's selections or something.
Whoa!
But make sure you go follow us, check us out.
Bye-bye Zonga.
Bye-bye Zonga.
And CoasterBro, can we find you anywhere else?
Yeah, you can find us on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, even Clubhouse, if you even know what that is.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah, I haven't
Early
talked on it
adopter.
yet, but we're going to do it. And get on there. So
Nice.
if you ever want to get on a Clubhouse,
Yeah,
man,
we need to do that too. Yeah.
let me know.
Well, if I may be so bold, CoasterBro, we have had quite the corkscrew conversation with you, and I think that was delightful, and I must thank you implicitly for being a part of this corkscrew conversation.
It was a wonderful time. We're going to have to get you guys on our show at some point and do a little something fun like this. That was a great evening.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. Dear listener, if you want to have a corkscrew conversation with us, we have many ways for you to do that.
We do. We are all over the social medias, as folks would call them these days. We're on Facebook. We're doing more long-form conversation, articles on there that we're sharing. We're also on Twitter. Twitter's a great place to be. It seems to me, Chris, that this is where most of our breaking news happens. This is where most conversation probably happens. We actually broke a huge rumor on Twitter over there, so if you're not following us, I gotta say, you're really missing out. That's probably my favorite of all of our social medias. If I had to pick a favorite, they all hold a special place in my heart, but I like Twitter. And then Instagram, of course, we have varied content on all of these different platforms. And so Instagram, you're going to see more of our photos. And of course, we're trying to get that 250th follower. So as soon as we get that, we're going to give away the GCI coaster. That is the drink coaster, of course. We've got 4 of those to give away to one lucky listener, one lucky participant, I should say. And finally, we even have an email, corkscrewconvos@gmail.com. There's a reason to follow the show on all these platforms, email being a way you can submit a question to us or just drop by and say hi. But check us out at all those different social medias, Corkscrew Convos. We even have a TikTok, Corkscrew Convos.
You know, DJ, you just said it, and I can't believe we haven't said it this way before. We are about to give away 4 GCI coasters, DJ. Get it? drink
We
coasters?
We are.
We got to tell people.
None of the ones we've talked about.
We're giving away coasters. You have to follow us on Instagram if you want to be in the running for us to give these GCI coasters to you.
That's totally right. And, dear listener, if you're hearing the end of this show, you haven't turned it off yet, probably because Coaster Cuzzies is here, CoasterBro is with us. That's probably why you haven't turned it off. But normally, if you haven't turned it off, you deserve a golden star because the two of us alone, we're nothing like this trio was tonight. But you definitely still deserve a golden star if you've gone this far. We're impressed with your thoroughness, but this would be a great opportunity for you to subscribe. This is a great way to get our show at the top of your feed. I love subscriptions because I can get everything I want when I want it. It's there. It's not in this long convoluted list of videos I don't care about. It's something I do care about. Can watch at my own leisure. And so I love that. Also, be sure, leave a 5-star review on Apple. We would appreciate that. We'll even read it aloud, give you a shout out on the show. We've read a few reviews before, and so this is a great opportunity to get your name out there to our expansive listener base.
At least 12 people. I'm fairly confident to say at least 12. But DJ said it. He got all the plugging out of the way when it comes to the socials. CoasterBro, let me brief you on how we close the show usually. We usually say, my name is blah, blah, my name is blah, blah, and this has been another Corkscrew Convo. Thanks for listening. And then DJ says, thanks, guys. We want you to be a part of that. So how about DJ says his name, you say your name. Wait, no. Then I say my name and you say your name. You're the closer, okay?
Ooh, I'm the Mariano Rivera.
Are you ready for that? So DJ's going to say his name then, and then my name is my name. Then you say, and this has been another Corkscrew Convo, okay?
Oh, do I say that, and this is another Corkscrew Combo as well?
And this has been another Corkscrew Convo. That's what you're going to say now, okay? Are you ready for that?
A lot of trust here.
I'm trusting you. If we need more than one take, that's fine.
Now, before we do this, let's give CoasterBro one more opportunity. Plug your social medias on here, so if anyone wants to listen and how they could best listen to you before we close the show out. I want to make sure you get enough shout-outs on here, for sure.
And you can find our show wherever you find podcasts. Just type in Coaster Cuzzies. We're going to be the first one there. Cuzzies is not a real word. We talked about that earlier in the show, okay? And you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Clubhouse, some other places probably too. And you can find our website, CoasterCuzzies.com, and buy us some sweet merch.
Until next time, my name is DJ.
My name is Chris.
My name is CoasterBro, and this has been another Corkscrew Combo.
Thanks for listening.